The Nextnaijacomedystar. I'm Ajuruchukwu Ebuke Emmanuel Steve Mario. I'm from Anambra State, precisely Ozobili in Ekwusigo local government. What inspired me to take comedy as a career? Actually, when I was growing up, I used to be this talkative kind of kid, so I talk a lot. And in my secondary school days, I belonged to the banter group. Like if you find somebody problem, they will call us, we'll banter you, we'll paint you. So I was enjoying comedy from the veteran comedians then, Uchobuago, did the one day. And then I got to university looking for a way to survive. I discovered, okay, guy, you can talk. So why not see if we can merge it into something that will earn you a little living. That was how I started the dream of being a comedian. I'm from a very strong Catholic family, very strong one. So comedy is something that my mother precisely sees it as something that is somehow worldly. But when I came to explain to her, Mom, this is what I'm into, this is not what I'm into, she was like, fine, I believe you, so do it. So I practically got the support I needed, basically, from my family. My first ever experience as a stand-up comedian, it was actually in my 100 level in the university. I was nominated to represent my department in our interdepartmental debate in school. And for some reasons, I was the person that trained the second speaker. I was the first speaker of the debate, and so I guided the second speaker, my second speaker. But then I got to the debate venue and trying to make my introduction, I forgot my topic. I was like, the reason for the topic of my debate, so I was thrown off balance for like 2 minutes before I came back. So after the encounter, the person I trained took 60. Then me that trained him was around, I think up to 12 or something or 13. So during the compilation of the results, the judges were like, is there any entertainer here that can just do anything while we wait for the result? So I felt like I've done bad. So I was looking for a little way to see if I can make up for the mess I made that place. So something told me, why not just go and try comedy? I told my second speaker, he said, guy, don't try it. You have messed up the first time, so don't double your madness. I summoned the courage, I picked up, went to the SUG Secretary General, that's one of the judges then, told him I'm a comedian, so he gave me a microphone, and I said, with a microphone, SUG Secretary General, sit down. So he asked me, are you a comedian? I said yes, but nobody heard what he said. So I said, now can you go and sit down? So that commanding voice, he sat down. People were like, look at this year one student commanding a whole SUG Secretary General, and the SUG Secretary General obeyed. So they started clapping. Wow, this guy is wonderful. So I felt the feeling was not bad. So I say I will eventually build a career around it. You know, comedy industry is a very vast industry. Just that in Nigeria, we are limited to a certain kind of comedy, to a certain kind of a way of being funny. So it's a very wonderful and still a very raw industry, very untapped. Okay, the development I would love to see in Nigeria comedy industry, a lot of them, like comedy is the least when it comes to Nigerian entertainment industry, because people barely invest in comedy industry except comedians. Just like when it comes to music industry, you will see somebody that is not a musician, not into music, but then he will have a record label, be signing artists and be taking care of them till they make it. But when it comes to comedy, we rarely see something like that. So it's a very big problem that for you to come out of ring light, it takes God, grace, and your personal input, hard work and effort. So I pray we'll come to grow above that sooner or later and be more creative in the industry. One of my favorite moments as a comedian I think that was the day I was officially endorsed as our school best comedian. Not like officially, but the day I was accepted as a comedian, because after my first magic on my debate day, the rest of my performance for like 1 year was always ends with away and throwing bottles and sachets of water at me. So the first day I made a joke on stage and everybody laughed, clapped, and gave me a shouting ovation. That was the start of that was the day I said, okay, fine, I am now a comedian. So I will always cherish that day. One of my worst experience as a comedian, you know, when it comes to worst experience, I have multiples of them, like a lot of them. Because there was a day I wanted to make a joke. That was in my very early stage. So I wanted to make a joke, but then I was just trying to throw a jab at somebody, but instead of trying to be funny, I was abusive. So it ended up that I was abusing my audience, and it wasn't cool at all. Because even at a point, somebody talked back at me, I was very furious. Like, I was very furious on stage that day. So I was trying to prove myself. I was trying to give the person back what he gave me, and it didn't end well. It was just more like an explosion of anger, and it's my worst day in school. If I become the next Nextnaijacomedystar, my contribution in the comedy industry, at least to a reasonable extent, I try to be original. I try to come out with something people are not so used to. I try to carve out my own niche. I try to come out from an angle that have not been in existence, sort of. So I believe bringing out that alone will add a positive vibe to what is already on ground, and hopefully, maybe from that particular niche I carved out for myself, a bigger and a greater pattern of comedy can arise, because it's just a new idea that I'm still trying to refine so that it will be a unique pattern of my own comedy. So that once you see something like this, they will say, like in Nigerian industry now, whenever you come on stage and you are like, people will say, so that is his own pattern. We have carved it out. There are a lot of musical comedians in the industry, but whenever you talk about musical comedy, the first person that comes to people's mind is Kenny Black. He carved out the niche. He wasn't the first person, but he brought it to limelight. And that is what I want to do. Whenever you hear this certain or this genre of comedy, you say Steve Mario. When it comes to my family and friends, they have been so supportive. As a matter of fact, before I came for this interview, my mom called me and said, I don't know how to vote. So I told your sister to vote for me, but I gave her money. So at least I am happy. I am happy that all of them are totally in support of my dream. Two top plans I have as a comedian. First, I love reading. That was why I love reading, I love writing. That was why initially my trademark was coming on stage with a book. It wasn't for show off, I love reading. And I really love script writing. As a matter of fact, I have been working on a lot of, my personal experience as a comedian, both the worst, the good, and the ugly. I try to coin it and bring out the comedy part of it. So I want to go into movie making as a comedian, and I want to start up a particular and a very unique pattern of comedy movies. Real, when you watch it, you get emotional, you get happy, you get motivated. I want something that is so real that people will feel like when you are telling the story, the person that is watching it will be feeling your pain. Like I had a very strong experience in SAS office one time I went for work. It's something I have put down as a book or as a story that I will develop someday. So I want to go into movie making. I love music too. And I love musical comedy too. So writing, reading, script writing, production, directing, acting in a different way. Everything I want to do, I don't want to do it from that particular angle. Everybody is approaching it. And that is why whenever I want to do, I try to seek opinions. Please, I want to get a different result from what is there already. So I want to go into movie production, specifically strong comedy punchlines, movie production, and then motivational speaking, and generally to, I think that's basically the two things I would love to do.
If you're boring, make you